I essentially call this, I didn't know that. And there's a lot in the Bible I don't know. I read through it all the time, and something new keeps popping up all the time. And I go to this site called, it's called I Didn't Know That, about the Bible. And there's a whole bunch of stuff in there that, frankly, I had no idea about. And so I start researching it, trying to understand it more and more. And a gentleman was writing in there about sometime around 1976 to 1980. He wasn't quite sure when he read it, but it was on the news as he was driving home from work. And it announced that the government had announced that they had come up with a study about human longevity. And this is like scientists down in the States. And they concluded that humans can live to a maximum age of 120 years. And at that point, the cells in your body will actually start to break down. In other words, your cells, instead of growing and becoming more, actually stop, and you therefore die. Your cells die. And what he found incredibly funny about this was that the information has already been presented almost 3,000 years earlier, or 4,000, depending on who you go by for the calendar, and it's actually in Genesis. And if the scientists had, instead of spending all their money on this research, had just gone back to the Bible, they could have saved a lot of time and effort. Because the Lord said in Genesis 6:3, "My spirit shall always strive with man, for that he also is flesh. Yet days shall be numbered 120 years." It's kind of funny that 3,000 or 4,000 years before these doctors had come up with this incredible revelation, God had already said, by the way, you got 120 years at the most, so enjoy what you got.
Make the best of it.
Yeah, make the best of it. So, and if you want to look it up, it's chapter 19 in the Human Longevity Illustrations. So I'm not sure what book that is. But it's just, the drive is on now for scientists to try to break through that 120-year barrier. And guess what? They still can't do it. They've been trying and trying and trying all these different chemicals and different things. And it almost reminds me of the time that, a story that I heard one time where the guy, a scientist, he said, guess what? I figured out how to create life. And I can do what I am as of God. And everybody went, oh yeah, sure, whatever. And he says, no, really. And all of a sudden this big booming voice came out of nowhere and said, really? And the guy said, yeah, I can do what you do, no problem. I got it figured out. Check this out. I can do what you do. And God went, okay, show me. So the scientist goes, hey, this is great. I got God on the handle right here, and I can show him what I can do here. Okay, so all I'm going to need is I'm going to need a little bit of amino acids. I'm going to need some of this and a little bit of electricity and a little bit of this. And God goes, whoa. You have to understand, when I did it, I started out with nothing. So go for it. Things you just don't know. None of us know the day of his return. None of us can predict the exact moment of our final breath, unless, of course, we are the cause of the final breath. That's the only way that we know the exact moment of death. Yet mankind is still trying to extend it beyond beyond the world attempts, or beyond what we're allowed to, and still attempts to play God. Scientists do not play God. Scientists have a barrier that they cannot break through, and they've been trying. But God knows the truth, and I can see God sitting there right now going, yeah, keep trying. You're not going to get it right because you can only go so far. Mm-hmm. The rest is mine. But they still want to try. Here's another little thing that I didn't know about, and it's kind of fruit for thought here. Adam and Eve, before anybody starts getting up and yelling and jumping at me here, I'm just reading what I read, and I've still got to research a bit more on it, but it's pretty close. Adam and Eve were not expelled from the Garden of Eden because they sinned. God would not care if they hung out there for a while, except that the tree of life was still in the garden.
Right.
They were kicked out to prevent them from eating from the tree of life. Why? Because if they ate from the fruit of the tree of life, they would become spiritual bodies just like God and the angels and live forever. Exactly what the Bible states is right here in Genesis 3:22 and 23. And the Lord God said, "Behold, the man has become as one of us to know good and evil. And now, lest he put his hand forth and take also of the tree of life and eat and live forever. Therefore the Lord God sent him forth from the Garden of Eden to till the ground from whence he was taken." These are great verses. Mankind wasn't expelled because of sin. Mankind was expelled because if they would have continued on forever, the chance of Jesus coming back and taking back the sin on his shoulders would not have occurred. And man would have lived on with that sinful nature forever. And none of us would have been here because man lives forever, right? So, to prevent that, he sent them out before they got to the tree of life. Because if you're tempted once and fell, you're going to be tempted again, because that serpent's still sitting there. And he's going to do it again. And we just create a whole nother problem. So he expelled them, and he didn't do it to punish them as much as he did it because he loved them that much. He did not want to do over, because he would have had to wipe it all out, start all over again. Because you cannot have that. The perfection that is God knows what we need. He knows that we can last 120 years. And we hold on to that. We hold on to maybe I can last one more day. Maybe I'll last till I'm 120. I'm looking at it, I told Natalie this the other day, if I get to that point, and I am sitting in the middle of a hospital, and I've got wires attached to me and everything like that, and that's the only thing keeping me going, pull the plug, please. Because 120 years on earth is about enough. I want to go to glory, and I want to have eternity in perfection, knowing that God is there waiting for me. That's just a great thing. 120 years is enough. The scientists can keep trying, but you know what? God already said, you got that much time. Be all that you can be, but do it in my name. And with that, I didn't know that. So there you go.